SMS messaging, once hailed as a revolutionary way to connect, now feels like an outdated relic that puts privacy at risk. Experts have revealed that texts sent between iPhones and Androids are essentially digital postcards. Anyone with the right tools and a little motivation can read them. This isn't just about nosy hackers trying to peek at your memes. We're talking about foreign governments potentially accessing sensitive personal and even political data. China, for instance, allegedly exploited these vulnerabilities to conduct mass surveillance through compromised SMS systems. Cybersecurity experts are urging people to switch to encrypted apps like WhatsApp or Signal. But the question remains, why are we still relying on these outdated, insecure technologies in the first place? Isn't it time to demand better from the tech industry? If this issue was detected last summer, why is it only surfacing now? That's the burning question fueling frustration across the nation. Many have pointed out that delayed warnings are becoming a pattern, with officials often lagging behind hackers. Some suggest the delay might have been politically motivated, while others sarcastically thank the FBI for their lightning speed in notifying the public. It's as if protecting privacy comes second to bureaucratic red tape. How are people supposed to trust institutions when warnings arrive months after potential damage is already done? Shouldn't there be systems in place to act faster, before our data becomes someone else's weapon? Encryption has become the modern-day knight in shining armor, but convincing everyone to adopt it is another story. Apps like Signal and Telegram offer robust protection, yet the average person hesitates to move away from familiar tools like SMS. Why? Convenience. It's hard to get everyone on board when grandma is perfectly happy with her green bubble texts. But as news of data breaches and privacy violations continues to dominate headlines, people are starting to ask hard questions. Are convenience and tradition worth the risk of exposing sensitive information? At what point will encrypted messaging become the norm rather than an optional safeguard for the tech-savvy minority? The cyber attack on America's largest telecom providers wasn't just a wake-up call. It was an alarm blaring through the night. Hackers breached the defenses of giants like AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, exposing glaring vulnerabilities in systems we rely on every day. What's more concerning is that these companies handle the backbone of U.S. communications, making the stakes incredibly high. While officials work tirelessly to mitigate the damage, many can't help but wonder, if such well-funded corporations can't protect their networks, what hope do everyday Americans have of keeping their information safe? Should companies that profit from personal data be held to stricter security standards? Or is this the price we pay for living in a connected world? Don't send sensitive information over SMS might be the most obvious advice anyone's ever heard. So why is it still relevant? For years, people have casually texted passwords, credit card numbers, and even social security details, blissfully unaware of the risks. Now, as headlines scream about breaches, it feels like the digital equivalent of telling someone to lock their front door after the burglars have already left. Critics argue that this warning is embarrassingly overdue. Shouldn't telecom companies or government agencies have prioritized educating people about these risks years ago? How did we let such a basic security issue go unnoticed for so long? At the heart of the SMS security crisis lies a tech rivalry that feels more like a playground spat than a professional dispute. Google's RCS offers encrypted messaging for Android users, but Apple refuses to integrate, keeping cross-platform text trapped in the insecure world of SMS. Apple defends its stance by touting its own security measures, yet critics argue that their refusal to collaborate undermines user safety. This deadlock leaves millions of people exposed to risks they don't even know exist. Is it fair for corporate egos to dictate the security of everyday communication? Or is it time for lawmakers to step in and demand a universal standard for encryption? Privacy has become a battleground, not just against foreign hackers, but within the borders of the United States itself. Many point out the uncomfortable irony. The same government warning people about surveillance has long faced accusations of monitoring its own citizens. From Edward Snowden's revelations about NSA programs to whispers of secret backdoors in encrypted apps, it's hard to know who to trust. People are left wondering, are we trading one form of spying for another? And if both foreign and domestic entities are watching, where does that leave the average person's right to privacy? Is it even possible to protect what feels like a disappearing freedom? The longing for simpler times has never felt stronger. In an era where smartphones are both indispensable and invasive, many joke about ditching technology altogether. Bring back landlines, they say, or even pigeons. At least those never leaked shopping lists or dinner plans. But behind the humor lies a serious question. How did we let technology evolve without safeguarding privacy? Nostalgia may not be the answer, but it highlights a growing frustration with modern digital life. Could the solution lie in striking a balance, one that preserves convenience while respecting the boundaries of personal information? Humor has become a coping mechanism for a problem that feels too big to fix. Comments like, "Great, now hackers know I can't cook broccoli," or "China must be fascinated by my late-night text to Taco Bell," show how people use jokes to process their frustration. It's classic American resilience, laughing in the face of adversity. But humor only goes so far. Beneath the sarcasm, there's a deeper unease. How much privacy are people unconsciously giving away, and at what cost? If laughter is the best medicine, will it be enough to cure the growing trust issues between people, corporations, and governments? The texting gap between iPhones and Androids is more than just a branding war. It's a technological divide that's leaving millions vulnerable. Messages sent between the two platforms still rely on the outdated SMS standard, a relic of the past that hackers love exploiting. While Google has implemented encrypted RCS messaging for Android users, Apple's refusal to cooperate keeps cross-platform text in the digital stone age. Critics argue this isn't just a tech problem, it's a security crisis. How long can corporate rivalries overshadow public safety? Shouldn't the fight for market dominance take a back seat to protecting the people who rely on these tools daily? Encrypted apps like WhatsApp and Signal are often hailed as the gold standard for secure communication, but skepticism persists. Some question the true level of privacy these apps provide, especially when governments have reportedly sought backdoor access to encrypted messages. Others wonder whether the convenience of mainstream platforms outweighs the hassle of learning new tools. After all, if the FBI recommends these apps, does it mean they're not as secure as advertised? Or does it reflect how desperate the situation has become? Can technology ever fully guarantee privacy? Or are we simply learning to live with the illusion of security? While hackers often aim for political figures and corporate leaders, ordinary people aren't entirely off the hook. Cybercriminals can still exploit intercepted messages for financial gain or personal data theft. Yet many shrug off the threat, joking, "What are they going to do? Steal my recipe for spaghetti?" This casual attitude highlights a larger issue. How well do people understand the real risks of unprotected communication? Are these jokes a defense mechanism? Or does the average person genuinely believe they're too unimportant to be targeted? And if so, how can awareness be raised without resorting to fear-mongering? All of this leaves a critical question hanging in the air. What happens next? Americans are demanding stronger privacy laws, better encryption standards, and more accountability from corporations profiting from personal data. It's no longer enough to patch security holes after the damage is done. Proactive solutions are the only way forward. Whether it's mandating encrypted communication standards or enforcing stricter penalties for negligence, the need for change has never been more urgent. But will lawmakers and tech giants finally step up, or will privacy remain a privilege for the few who can navigate the complexities of secure communication? The global context adds another layer to the conversation. While the U.S. grapples with its own cybersecurity shortcomings, other nations have taken decisive steps to safeguard communication. For example, the European Union's strict data privacy regulations have forced companies to prioritize security, while countries like Estonia are pioneering encrypted digital services for all citizens. These examples beg the question, why hasn't America, a leader in technology, adopted similar measures? If other nations can prioritize privacy without sacrificing innovation, what's stopping the U.S. from setting a global standard for digital security? Education might be the most powerful weapon in the fight for privacy. Despite the growing number of breaches, many people still don't understand the risks of unencrypted messaging or how to protect themselves. Schools, companies, and even tech providers could play a crucial role in raising awareness. Imagine if digital literacy was taught as early as reading or math. Would people still trust outdated SMS systems to carry sensitive information? By empowering individuals with knowledge, could we finally bridge the gap between technological advancements and personal responsibility?